In the quiet town of Ridgewood, a tale of deceit and tragedy unfolded forever, altering the lives of those involved. At the heart of this story were two sisters, Eliza and Veronica Matthews. Veronica the elder was married Adam Harper to Adam Harper, a successful and well-respected surgeon. Their seemingly perfect life was envied by all. But beneath the surface, a dark and sinister drama was brewing. Eliza and Veronica were born into a modest family in Ridgewood. Their father was a mechanic, Eliza and Veronica, and their mother a nurse from a young age. It was clear that the two sisters were vastly different. Veronica, with her calm demeanor and academic brilliance, was the apple of her parents' eye. She excelled in school, went on to study medicine, and eventually became a doctor, much like her mother. Her life followed a predictable but admirable path leading to her marriage to Adam Harper, a man who matched her in ambition and success. Eliza, on the other hand, was a wild spirit, intelligent yet troubled. She struggled to find her place. Her rebellious nature often got her into trouble, and her relationships were as tumultuous as her career choices. She flitted from job to job, city to city, never settling down. Her manipulative tendencies were evident early on, as she often used her charm and cunning to get what she wanted. Growing up, the contrast between the sisters was stark. Veronica was the quintessential good girl. Diligent, respectful, and always eager to please, she excelled academically and socially, earning praise from teachers and admiration from peers. Eliza, however, was the opposite. She was restless and rebellious, often challenging authority and pushing boundaries while equally intelligent. She lacked the focus and discipline that came naturally to Eliza's journey. Veronica, their parents, John and Margaret Matthews, dewed on Veronica, proud of her accomplishments and her saint nature. Eliza, feeling overshadowed and misunderstood, acted out in various ways, seeking attention and validation in all the wrong places. This dynamic created a rift between the sisters, one that only deepened as they grew older. Veronica's journey was linear and predictable. After high school, she went on to college, earning a degree in medicine. She met Adam Harper during her residency. Adam, a rising star in the medical field, was instantly smitten with Veronica's beauty and intelligence. Their courtship was swift and seemingly perfect, culminating in a wedding that was the talk of Ridgewood. The couple settled into a comfortable life, their future bright and full of promise. Eliza's path, however, was far from straightforward. After barely graduating from high school, she embarked on a series of ill-fated endeavors. She dabbled in various careers, from bartending to real estate, but nothing seemed to stick. Her relationships were equally volatile, characterized by intense passions and bitter endings. Despite her outward bravado, Eliza felt a growing sense of inadequacy, especially in comparison to her seemingly perfect sister. Eliza's return to Ridgewood came after yet another failed relationship and mounting debts. Her latest romantic entanglement had ended disastrously, leaving her emotionally and financially seeking refuge, drained. Seeking refuge, she turned to the only family she had left. Veronica, ever the dutiful sister, welcomed Eliza back with open arms. Despite their differences, Veronica loved her sister and was willing to help her get back on her feet. Eliza moved into the guest house on Veronica and Adam's property, ostensibly to look for a job and start anew. However, Eliza had other plans. She was not just seeking a fresh start, she was looking for an opportunity. Veronica's perfect life was a glaring reminder of everything she lacked, and deep down, she resented her sister's success. Eliza's arrival coincided with a period of strain in Veronica and Adam's marriage. Adam, a dedicated and hard-working surgeon, was often preoccupied with his demanding job. The long hours and constant stress left little time for intimacy or meaningful connection with Veronica. Despite their outwardly perfect life, there were cracks in their relationship, cracks that Eliza was quick to notice and exploit. It started innocently enough. Eliza would join Veronica and Adam for dinner, sharing stories and laughter. Adam, initially indifferent to Eliza, soon found himself drawn to her vibrant and unpredictable personality. She was everything Veronica was not: SP, spontaneous, daring, and seductive. Eliza began to find excuses to be around Adam. She would seek his advice on trivial matters, touch his arm during conversations, and compliment his work excessively. Adam, feeling the strain of his demanding job and the monotony of his marriage, was flattered by Eliza's attention one evening. While Veronica was working late, Eliza invited Adam to a secluded part of the garden to share a bottle of wine under the guise of sibling bonding. She began to subtly flirt with him. The wine loosened their tongues, and soon their conversation took a more intimate turn. Eliza knew exactly how to play on Adam's insecurities and unfulfilled desires, making him feel seen and appreciated in a way Veronica never did. The chemistry between them was palpable, an electric current that neither could deny. Adam, though initially wary, found himself increasingly drawn to Eliza. Her presence was a breath of fresh air, a stark contrast to the routine predictability of his life with Veronica. Eliza, for her part, was meticulous in her approach, carefully calibrating her advantage and to keep Adam on edge, always wanting more but never quite sure how far she would go. What began as a harmless flirtation. The affair quickly escalated into a full-blown affair. Adam, unable to resist Eliza's allure, found himself sneaking around to be with her. They met in secret, their stolen moments filled with passion and guilt for Eliza. The affair was a game, a way to finally outshine her sister for Adam. It was an escape from his routine life and a rekindling of a fire he thought long extinguished. Veronica, oblivious to the affair, at first began to notice changes in Adam. He was more distant, often making excuses to stay late at work or go on business trips. Her suspicions grew, and she started to piece together the truth. The late-night phone calls, the lingering looks between Adam and Eliza, and the sudden coldness in her marriage all pointed to an unthinkable betrayal as the affair continued. Eliza's manipulations became more pronounced. She would feign vulnerability, playing on Adam's protective instincts, and then switch to passionate seductress, keeping him constantly off balance and enthralled. Adam, torn between his love for Veronica and his desire for Eliza, was trapped in a web of deceit. Eliza reveled in the thrill of their forbidden romance. Each secret meeting fueled her sense of triumph over Veronica. She meticulously planned their rendezvous, ensuring they would not be discovered. They would meet in discreet locations, from secluded parks to out-of-town motels. The danger of being caught only added to the excitement, making their encounters all the more intense. Adam, meanwhile, was caught in a whirlwind of emotions. The affair was exhilarating, but the guilt was suffocating. He loved Veronica and hated himself for betraying her. Yet he couldn't stay away from Eliza. She had become an addiction, a dark and irresistible force that consumed him. His internal struggle was evident in his behavior, swinging between excessive affection towards Veronica and inexplicable coldness. Veronica's instincts were sharp, and the changes in Adam did not go unnoticed. She confided in her best friend Julia, expressing her fears and suspicions. Julia, supportive and concerned, urged Veronica to confront Adam directly. However, Veronica, hoping it was all a misunderstanding, decided to observe a little longer before making any accusations. Veronica's suspicions reached a boiling point. One stormy evening, she confronted Adam, demanding to know the truth. Adam, unable to lie any longer, confessed to the affair. The revelation shattered Veronica. Her perfect life was a lie, her trust betrayed by the two people she loved most in a fit of rage and heartbreak. Veronica confronted Eliza. The argument was explosive, filled with accusations and bitter words. Eliza, initially defiant, eventually revealed her true feelings. She admitted to the affair with a cold, calculated smirk, revving in the pain she had caused Veronica. Overwhelmed by a whirlwind of emotions, fled the house, her heart pounding and her mind a chaotic mess of betrayal and grief. Every corner of her home was filled with memories of happier times, now tainted by the bitter revelation of her husband's infidelity. She grabbed her car keys and ran out into the stormy night, the rain matching her tears. The sky rumbled ominously, as if the heavens themselves were mourning her anguish. She drove aimlessly through the storm, the windshield wipers struggling to keep up with the torrential downpour. Her thoughts were a turbulent sea of rage and sorrow, each wave crashing harder than the last. The betrayal was a knife in her heart. Twisted by the hands of the man she loved and trusted, she pressed her foot harder on the gas pedal, trying to outrun the pain. The car's engine roaring in the night as she sped along the winding roads outside Ridgewood. The rain-slicked asphalt became treacherous. The tires struggled for grip, but her mind was too clouded to notice she rounded a sharp bend. Too quickly, the car's back end fishtailing. Veronica fought for control, but it was too late. The vehicle skidded off the road, breaking through the flimsy guardrail and tumbling down the rocky ravine. The sound of the crash echoed through the night, a tragic punctuation to the evening's devastating events the next morning. As the first light of dawn broke through the dissipating storm clouds, Veronica's lifeless body found her car was a mangled wreck at the bottom of the ravine, the crumpled metal and shattered glass a stark reminder of the violent end to her desperate escape. News of the accident spread quickly through Ridgewood, a tight-knit community where everyone knew each other. The shock was palpable, a wave of disbelief and sorrow washing over the town. Adam was devastated when he heard the news. The WA of his guilt and sorrow was almost too much to bear. He had loved Veronica once deeply, and the affair with Eliza had been a moment of weakness that spiraled out of control. Now it had cost him everything. His mind replayed the arguments, the hurt in Veronica's eyes, and the final moments before she stormed out. He became a shadow of his former self, haunted by the memory of his wife and the betrayal that led to her untimely death. Eliza, on the other hand, felt a twisted sense of victory. She had set out to destroy Veronica's perfect life, and she had succeeded. But the cost was higher than she had anticipated. She had expected drama, perhaps a breakup or a scandal, but not this. The community's reaction was swift and brutal. Once the object of envy, she was now the target of scorn and ostracism. The whispers followed her everywhere, and soon she found it unbearable. She left Ridgewood, her life in tatters, marked forever by the tragedy she had helped to Detective Sarah Blake orchestrate. Detective Sarah Blake was assigned to investigate the accident. She was known for her keen instincts and meticulous attention to detail. As she surveyed the crash site and reviewed the evidence, something didn't sit right with her. The crash seemed too deliberate, the circumstances too convenient. Blake's curiosity was piqued, and she delved deeper into Veronica's life, uncovering the affair and the tumultuous events leading up to her death. Interviews with friends and family painted a grim picture. Veronica had been a woman pushed to the brink by betrayal. Adam's colleagues spoke of his recent erratic behavior and emotional outbursts, while Eliza's former lovers described her as manipulative and ruthless. The pieces of the puzzle began to fit together, revealing a story of emotional torment and desperate actions. Blake's investigation concluded that Veronica's death, while officially ruled an accident, was a direct result of the emotional trauma inflicted by Eliza and Adam. The affair had driven her to despair, her frantic drive through the storm, a desperate attempt to escape the unbearable pain. Although no criminal charges were filed, the court of public opinion was unforgiving. The truth of their affair spread through Ridgewood like wildfire, forever tarnishing Adam and Eliza's reputations. Adam and Eliza were left to grapple with the consequences of their actions. Adam's life was a hollow shell, haunted by the ghost of his wife and the guilt that gnawed at his soul. Eliza, once a vibrant and confident woman, was reduced to a figure of infamy, her name synonymous with tragedy and betrayal. Veronica's death was a wound that would never fully heal, a scar on the heart of Ridgewood, and a haunting reminder to those who knew the true cost of deceit. Detective Sarah Blake's thorough investigation left no stone unturned. She meticulously reconstructed Veronica's final hours piece by piece, ensuring every detail was scrutinized. Blake's methodical approach led her to the Rusty Anchor, a local bar, where Veronica had been seen the night of the accident. This establishment, a dimly lit haven for the local working class, held secrets that Blake was determined to uncover. The bartender, Hank, became a key Rusty Anchor witness in the investigation. His recollection of Veronica's emotional state that evening was vivid and poignant. She was drinking heavily, more than I've ever seen. Hank recalled his gruff voice tinged with concern. She seemed deeply troubled, like she was trying to drown her sorrows. Hank's account painted a picture of a woman in distress, driven to the edge by the overwhelming revelation of her husband's affair. He described how Veronica had isolated herself at a corner table, her eyes red and puffy from crying, nursing one drink after another as if trying to numb an unbearable pain. Hank's testimony provided crucial context for Veronica's state of mind. It became clear to Detective Blake that Veronica had been driven to despair by the devastating discovery of Adam's infidelity. To further understand Veronica's turmoil, Blake reached out to Veronica's best friend, Julia. Julia's account confirmed Veronica's suspicions and the emotional havoc they had. Riri, she was devastated. Julia confided, her voice trembling. Veronica loved Adam deeply, and the betrayal shattered her. Julia detailed Veronica's spiral into despair, noting how her once vibrant friend had become a shadow of her former self. She couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. The affair consumed her every thought, Julia said, her eyes welling up with tears. I tried to help her, but she felt so alone, so betrayed. Blake's attention then turned to Adam and Eliza, the central figures in the unfolding tragedy. Adam, a man now consumed by guilt, was the first to be interviewed. He presented himself as a broken soul tormented by his actions. His confession was raw and heartfelt. I loved Veronica, he told Blake, tears streaming down his face. I never wanted to hurt her. I don't know what came over me. Adam's remorse was palpable, his words laden with regret and sorrow. He spoke of his love for Veronica and his foolish indiscretions that had led to such a catastrophic end. It was a mistake, a terrible mistake. He murmured, his hands trembling. I wish I could take it all back. Eliza, on the other hand, was a tougher nut to crack. Initially, she maintained a veneer of innocence, insisting that she had no intention of causing harm. However, under Blake's relentless and astute questioning, her defenses began to crumble. The detective's keen eye for deception and her unwavering persistence finally wore Eliza down. I wanted what Veronica had. Eliza confessed, her voice barely above a whisper. I was jealous, and I thought if I could take Adam from her, I'd feel vindicated. Eliza's admission revealed a deep-seated envy and a pattern of manipulative behavior that had driven her actions. She described how she had carefully orchestrated her seduction of Adam, playing on his weaknesses and exploiting the cracks in his marriage. Blake's investigation into Eliza's past unearthed a troubling pattern of similar behaviors in previous relationships. Former lovers and acquaintances painted a picture of a woman who was charming and alluring, but ultimately destructive. She had a history of using people to get what she wanted, discarding them callously when they were no longer of use. One former boyfriend described her as a black widow, luring men into her web of deceit, only to leave their lives in ruins. As Blake pieced together these revelations, a chilling portrait of Eliza emerged. Her actions were not driven by love or passion, but by a cold, calculated desire to possess and control. She had seen Adam as a trophy, a means to an end, and Veronica's misery was merely collateral damage in her quest for validation. The investigation painted a clear picture. Veronica's death was a tragic consequence of the emotional torment inflicted upon her by those she trusted most, while the affair itself was not a criminal act. The psychological impact on Veronica was undeniable. Detective Blake's report was a damning indictment of Eliza's manipulative nature and Adam's weakness, highlighting the devastating consequences of their actions. Ridgewood would never be the same. The scandal rocked the small town, leaving a lasting impact on all who knew the Matthews and Harper families. Adam and Eliza's actions were condemned, their reputations irreparably damaged. Veronica's death cast a long shadow over Ridgewood, the town's residents. Once charmed by the Harper Matthews' seemingly perfect life, were now left to grapple with the dark reality beneath the surface. Adam, consumed by guilt and sorrow, left Ridgewood unable to bear the memories of his lost wife, and the betrayal that led to her death, Eliza, rejected and ignored, vanished into the background. Many felt relieved by her leaving, but the harm she caused remained. Ridgewood would eventually look peaceful again, but its people knew that under the calm surface of their small town, strong emotions and secrets could still cause trouble. Could Veronica or Adam have steered their lives away from tragedy? Is a person like Eliza capable of true change, or are some behaviors etched too deep? How will Ridgewood heal from this?